going out there and showcasing skills. That's not disrespect. Disrespect people do sometimes at press conferences, cussing each other's mums and bringing in family. That's disrespect.
Pro boxing fans, Anthony Yarde, finally here. It's fight week. Just talk to me about how you're feeling. A lot of noise this week about your fights with maybe other fighters, bouts, Callum Smith, but how do you sort of blank out that noise and just carry on as normal?
Same as I always do it. I'm very good at just blocking out noise, cancelling out the opinions of others. My only focus right now is this Saturday, which is a couple of days away. And then I've said publicly before this fight that I've got now has been scheduled, I've said publicly the fights that I want big fights this year. Bivol and Beterbiev are fighting in June, so that should be very interesting and have a big part to play again on the future. But again, as I said before, my only focus is this Saturday.
I said to Tunde in that interview that I did with him that you remind me a lot about a throwback fighter, somebody who's no nonsense, calls it as it is. You could have got big money for sort of, not taking certain fights. You decided to take fights away from home. Where does this throwback mentality come from? Is it some of the old school fighters that you've been watching over the years?
I feel like it's just me as a person, and I appreciate that as well for pointing out that fact. I've taken on the biggest fights possible. I fought world champions that no one else wanted to fight. I've gone away from home to do it. I've refused step aside money, and when I say step aside money, I'll be public with it. I got offered $1 million to step aside. $1 million to step aside. I said no. My stubborn mentality, that lion mentality in me, said no. I see a prize, I'm going to go for it, and I'll continue to be the same. I'll do what makes sense for me and my career, because when my career is finished, it's on to the next. You're going to look at the next prospect. You're seeing Ben Whittaker come through, looking fantastic. I'm loving the highlights. I love how he performed as well on Saturday. But what I see, had a good performance. Even Dan Aziz had a good performance. It was a good fight. So then, Ben Whittaker is very young in the sport, but again, he's not too young. I think he's 26, 27. So again, that's a potential fight that I could have down the line. There's other young, up-and-coming fighters that haven't even turned pro yet. So what's going to happen is, when I finish my career, it's on to the next prospect. So I've got to do what's best for me, and that's having the best fights at the best time. Again, I've gone to Russia, I fought Beterbiev, and I'll continue to do that as long as I'm active. When there's world titles in the land, that's the fights I'm going to go for.
What's the ideal fight you want? Obviously, there's two fighters fighting on the 1st of June. There's Joshua Buatsi. We're hearing maybe even a stadium fight for the Buatsi fight. Callum Smith in Saudi Arabia. The doors are open, man. What fight is number one for you?
Options. Again, I have a team. I would say I'll fight both of them. I promise you. But you have a team in the background for a reason that help make certain decisions. Obviously, the final say is always mine. But again, there's people in the background that look at numbers. They look at. There's no denying. Globally, I bring the most attention. I get the most attraction in terms of numbers, and that's factual. But again, these big fights are fights that I want, not just what makes sense, but they're actually fights that I want, and I've said that as well publicly. But it's just about the right timing. I've always said this: look, Bivol and Beterbiev are fighting. If them both scatter, these big fights, if they're for world titles, it makes a fight 10 times better. That's just my opinion.
Anthony, just out of interest, after the press conference, Joshua Buatsi said, "Listen, I recognise I'm from London. Anthony Yarde fights there." And when you saw that, what did you make of it? Because he said it in interviews as well. He said it with me. So when he recognises it, what do you make of that fight?
I didn't see the interview, but who recognises what?
He said in the post-fight press conference, he said he talked about Bivol or Beterbiev, but he also said, "I have to recognise I'm from London, so the Anthony Yarde fight is there as well." And he said it in an interview with me as well.
Okay, yeah, and I've been saying the same. I went on Sky Sports. I looked directly into the camera lens, and I said, I do want to fight Buatsi. Hopefully this year. Well, not even hopefully. I want to fight. Yeah, it is hopefully. I want to fight him this year. Again, since then, the Bivol and Beterbiev fight's been made. That's an undisputed fight. So after them two fight, I'm sure that the belts spread again. So if me and Boxeo can fight for a world title fight, what a event that would be.
And also, when you see the amount of people that come out for Boxeo and Aziz, you can't help but think that Boxeo Yarde would be, no disrespect to Dan Aziz, but 100 times bigger, 10 times bigger than that.
Oh, 100%, 100%. But with the Aziz and Boxeo fight, again, I helped promote that fight as well. Again, I'm not a silly person. I will talk at the right time. I don't lie, but I will talk at the right time. And that is a fight that I definitely want. Again, I know Dan Aziz, but I did say publicly that it will be better if Boxeo wins. It creates a bigger fight. It's been brewing for a while as well. But yeah, bit of patience. The fight's going to happen, 100%.
Another thing, you mentioned Ben Whittaker there. What do you make of the showboating? It does cause a bit of a stir online. As a fellow, I suppose, rival to you, what do you make of all that showboating?
No, I love it. I actually love it. To me, there's no rivals in boxing unless you dislike each other. Again, I don't know Ben Whittaker. All I know is that he's a fellow Adidas ambassador, like myself, and I was entertained. I love it. I used to love watching Nassim Hamed. I used to love watching other fighters that maybe showboated. Ben Whittaker had good defense and moved about and done little dances. I love all that stuff in boxing. It takes a tremendous amount of skill to pull it off, especially under the lights. And again, I want him to keep building himself. I see online that his social media grew, I think, almost 200,000 followers in a matter of 2-3 days. That shows you the power of taking the risk that he's taking, because showboating is a risk.
Is it disrespectful, would you say?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. How can it be disrespectful going out there and showcasing skills? That's not disrespect. Disrespect people do sometimes in press conferences, cussing each other's mums and bringing in family. That's disrespect. Going out there and showcasing your talent is not disrespect. And people should, again, for someone to go out there and showcase that kind of skill, people need to support it.
Anthony, just quickly, Fury Usyk, I know you're a big fight fan. What do you think about that cut? As a fighter, you must, if a fighter you're up against had a cut like that, you look to target that. Do you feel that that's a big glaring weakness for Tyson Fury heading into the fight, and does it change your pick at all?
Yes. The answer is yes, because Tyson Fury will have in his mind that he's got that cut. Regardless of what Usyk's thinking, in the back of Tyson Fury's mind, he's human, he's going to know that he's got that cut. So it could play a part in how he fights, his approach to the fight. But again, it could be in his favour. He could want to box and stay on the back foot, and that could work in his favour. He's bigger, a lot bigger. He's heavier. He can move. And again, it could have been to his detriment if he went in there and tried to force the action and try to stop Usyk. He could have got caught. So we'll see how it plans out when they actually do fight.
Are you picking Usyk or favouring?
I will, in terms of just because of the sheer size. If I was betting on it, I will bet on Fury probably to win by points. But Usyk has shown his supreme ability. So again, that's why we're excited about that fight. I think that's a very, very interesting 50-50 fight.
All right, thanks very much, guys.